JD Vance is without a doubt one of the most hated people in the country right now from both the left and the right. Whether it's his flip-flopping political stances or his out-of-touch comments, it seems like every time he opens his mouth, he digs himself into a deeper hole. And this is even further shown because the Ohio police just dropped a new bombshell on JD Vance that calls him out and makes him look even more stupid than he already does. But before we take a look at that bombshell report, I want to touch on Gavin Newsom because he recently called out JD Vance for saying that school shootings are a fact of life. So let's take a look at that clip and then we'll look at Gavin Newsom's response to it.
Now look, the Kamala Harris answer to this is to take law-abiding American citizens' guns away from them. That is what Kamala Harris wants to do. She says, look, I don't like this. I don't like to admit this. I don't like that this is a fact of life. But if you are a psycho and you want to make headlines, you realize that our schools are soft targets. And we have got to bolster security at our schools so that a person who walks through the front door We've got to bolster security so that if a psycho wants to walk through the front door and kill a bunch of children, they're not able to. And again, as a parent, do I want my kids' school to have additional security? No, of course I don't. I don't want my kids to go to school in a place where they feel like you've got to have additional security, but that is increasingly the reality that we live in. And a bunch of my colleagues in the Senate, we actually worked on legislation that would give schools more resources to bolster their security, because if these psychos are going to have to go after our kids, we've got to be prepared for it. We don't have to like the reality that we live in, but it is the reality that we live in, and we got to deal with it.
This is just a horrible thing for anyone to say, but before we fully talk about it, let's see Gavin Newsom's response to it. He says, JD Vance, school shootings are just a fact of life. Kids are being killed, and he's shrugging his shoulders. Remember that in November. Newsom's response here is short but incredibly powerful. It cuts right to the core of what makes Vance's comment so despicable. Because he's right, JD Vance and many other Republicans aren't doing anything to protect children in schools. They're shrugging their shoulders and shifting the blame because their main priority isn't protecting kids, it's protecting their guns. Vance even tried to drag Kamala Harris into this, complaining that her solution is to take away guns, but then offering nothing meaningful in return aside from saying that we should just bolster school security. It's just more deflection and empty rhetoric. What's so crazy to me is that JD Vance pretends to be pro-family and pro-life, but when we have an actual solution to solving a problem that is only in the US, by the way, JD Vance's response is, but the guns though. Because the truth is, school shootings do not have to be a fact of life. We can do something about it just like other countries have. But people like JD Vance are choosing to keep them as a part of our reality because they care more about protecting the Second Amendment than they do about protecting our children. It's infuriating, and it's the kind of twisted logic that shows where their priorities really lie. But he is not the only one who has called out JD Vance recently, because the Ohio police just dropped a new bombshell on JD Vance. So let's take a look at that report. So here's this article from NBC News. Police in Springfield, Ohio said Monday that they had received no credible reports of immigrants harming pets, contradicting a claim by Republican vice presidential nominee Senator JD Vance. The senator from Ohio, as well as other Republican lawmakers and several conservative commenters, have in recent days asserted without evidence that the arrival of thousands of immigrants from Haiti have created chaos in Springfield. In a post on Twitter, Vance wrote on Monday that people have had their pets abducted and eaten by people who shouldn't be in this country. So this is where this whole thing started stemming from, because he was claiming that people were eating pets. The Springfield Police Division said in a statement that they were aware of the rumors and had no information to support them. In response to recent rumors alleging criminal activity by the immigrant population in our city, we wish to clarify that there have been no credible reports or specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community, the police said in a statement emailed to NBC News. They added that they have no information to support similar assertions about immigrants squatting or disturbing traffic. Additionally, there have been no verified instances of immigrants engaging in illegal activities such as squatting or littering in front of residents' homes. Furthermore, no reports have been made regarding members of the immigrant community deliberately disrupting traffic, the police said. It's almost like they came here and just wanted to live a peaceful life. Such a crazy concept, isn't it, JD Vance? After NBC News asked the Vance campaign about the lack of evidence for his claim, a spokesperson said that the senator had received a high volume of calls and emails over the past several weeks from concerned citizens in Springfield, and that his tweet is based on what he is hearing from them. And to me personally, this is political speak for he heard a rumor somewhere and decided to run with it. The spokesperson did not say, however, whether any of those calls or emails had included evidence of violence against pets and did not offer proof of Vance's statements. Like I just said, he was pretty much just running with a rumor. So yeah, I think it's so funny that JD Vance just ran with a rumor, and then the police were like, yeah, that's just not true, we have no evidence of it. And I think this is just true with a lot of things that the right says. They just make a bunch of claims, especially with regards to immigration, that just aren't true. And it doesn't really matter if they're telling the truth or not, because their base isn't going to take the time to do research on it, because I guarantee you 99% of them aren't experiencing any problems. They're being told that it's a much bigger problem than it actually is, and they're just assuming like, oh, I'm just the lucky one. So it's good to hear from the police that this is just not true. So yeah, it's insane to me that JD Vance has no regard for the truth and will spout whatever lies he wants to better appeal to his base. Because he truly has no thoughts of his own and just copies what every other Republican is saying. And if we are putting someone into the White House, they can't be someone who is a compulsive liar like Trump or JD Vance. So if you want to make sure that they don't make it to the White House, make sure you get out and vote this November.